Well, I think we're seeing the emergence of a new world order. So it's sort of the 1918, 1945 or 1989 moment in history. And the choice is sort of between a multilateral world of order and compromise, and then perhaps a multipolar world of transaction and disorder. And I think we'll be looking at this period of unrest for the better part of the end of the decade.
But in Rumsfeldian language, he's a known unknown.
Yeah.
And we know, as you just quite rightly said there, that transactions are at the heart of it. And there are other things that we know that President Trump would like, obviously, to buy more US goods, to build alliances with the US at the extent of probably having less alliances with others as well. You know how to deal with Mr. Trump, even though you said it's perhaps a polarized transactional world.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, in foreign policy, you always have to react to a certain situation, especially when you come from a small state and you realize that you work with whoever is the president of the biggest superpower in the world. Now, I, of course, take comfort in the fact that President Trump wants the United States to remain and retain the position of a superpower. And for that, you need allies. And I think those allies come from Europe. So if I may simplify a little bit, though it is America first, perhaps it should be Europe second, which is, quite fine. I also take comfort in the fact that he's a man of peace. He just forged peace in the Middle East, and I think he's going to try to do the same thing in Ukraine. Then there are, of course, things that I find problematic, such as trade tariffs, but we'll see how we deal with that. So you have to take it one day at a time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, given the fact that he's pulling out of COP, the Paris Agreement, pulling out of the World Health Organization, I'm presuming the World Trade Organization is in his firing line as well. I haven't seen an announcement just yet on that. Do you fear that NATO could be next, that he would pull the United States out of NATO?
No, I don't. And there are many reasons for this. The first one is that I think Donald Trump has an aversion towards international organizations, so the UN and its agencies, but actually likes regional organizations such as NATO. And NATO is, of course, about security. And for the biggest military superpower in the world to lead the biggest military alliance in the world, I think is in the vested interest of the United States. And on top of that, NATO is cheap for the United States as well.
Well, it spends hundreds of billions on its defence as well. It accounts for, off the top of my head, around about 67% of NATO spending as well. He is right. He was right when he said to Jens Stoltenberg back in 2018, and we all remember that famous lambasting of the Germans via Stoltenberg. He is right. We do have to pay more for our own defence.
He's absolutely right. And actually, he should take credit and should be giving credit for it, because in 2014, there were only 3 countries in the alliance that reached the 2% threshold. Now it's 23 and actually going up. I can only speak for myself. Finland has one of the strongest defenses in Europe. We're 2.4, 2.5%. But at the end of the day, of course, it's not the percentage that matters. It's the stuff that matters.